Today I wanted to talk about why talk therapy may be falling short for Asian Americans. There was a tragic study done in 2016 that showed that half of the suicides in America were from the AAPI community. I've seen a lot of articles and media talking about how we can normalize talk therapy and how that can be more accessible to the AAPI community. And I think I have a slightly different take on how we can do this. And at this point, if you're still wondering why someone who's not Asian American is talking about Asian Americans, don't be fooled by my hair and try to be a little more welcoming to those that don't look like Asians in your textbook, because I am Japanese and I feel like a fool having to explain this to all of y'all, so watch my microaggressions video about mixed race people. Almost 20% of Americans are seeing therapists, and there's probably a higher number now post-pandemic because I've heard of it from celebrities and media. I see ads, like it's just become much more common. But before I go into that, just a very quick recap of how talk therapy began and how it got so popular. Well, it didn't originally start, but people think that it started with Freud inventing talk therapy and calling it the talking cure. And that's not really true because he didn't invent it. It had existed before. He was just the one that made it more popular. He really believed that psychotherapy was a hard science, so he devoted a lot of his time to the research and studies to prove that it was effective and it could be considered a science. If you're interested in learning more about Freud and his ideas, check out this book, Freud and Beyond. It does a pretty good job of explaining how Freud's ideas and psychodynamics in general got branched out into other theories and modalities. So like I said, from there, we come to a point in America where it's really common, but for the AAPI community, they're 3 times less likely to see a therapist than the average American. Part of the reason of this is, like I said, the philosophical core of talk therapy is very much based on like Western thinking. Just the idea of like talking to someone to talk through your emotions and your feelings and your experiences is helpful isn't something that really applies to Eastern thinking. In the East, the Confucius belief is something that's really rooted in its culture, like especially the East Asian countries. And their belief is that your value as a person is very much dependent on how you can help others and help your community. And when you have a mental illness, when sometimes you can barely take care of yourself, it shows that you can't really take care of your family or your community as much, and that can be a lot of shame. Talk therapy can be viewed as something that's selfish and self-indulgent because it is all about taking care of yourself, and that's not really something that is really valued in the Eastern way of thinking. Specifically for the AAPI community or Asian Americans or like immigrants of children, there may be a sense of guilt. You may have guilt of having to experience mental health problems, knowing that your relatives and your parents had to go through harder things to settle and build a family in the US. Lastly, there's also like studies that have shown that Asians and Asian Americans are more likely to experience somatic pain than mental pain. For example, there's a lot of connections between stomach pain and anxiety. So as an Asian American, you may be more likely to go see a doctor because of your stomach pain than seeing a mental health counselor because of your like mental pressure. Seeing a doctor to treat your physical stomach pain actually makes a lot of sense in the Eastern framework of wellness. And that's because they view wellness in a much more holistic way. So when you see a therapist or when you see a doctor for your stomach pain, they actually treat your body as a whole, and they recognize that there's some kind of imbalance in your body, and they try to treat it in a much broader sense than just going to see a Western doctor to treat your stomach pain. To dive a little bit more into how Eastern health is viewed, in traditional Chinese medicine, which is a lot of the root of the other Eastern medicines. For example, China has the Chinese medicine, Japan has Kampo, which is Japanese medicine, but also rooted in Chinese medicine, and then there's Korea, there's Korean medicine. And I'm sure there are lots of other countries that I definitely left out, but I don't know as much about them because of my background being Japanese and my partner and my involvement in their family, and they're Chinese. But anyways, So in traditional Chinese medicine, health is maintained through a balance of qi. And qi in an English translation is vital energy. That's basically the stuff that keeps things alive. Like keeps me alive, keeps you alive, keeps nature alive, like keeps things moving is like qi. It's like the core to every living thing. Unhealthy is when your qi is not in balance and there's a blockage or there's something going on and you need to make sure you get it back to its balance. From my experience going to see a traditional Chinese doctor, like you're never in perfect balance. You're just constantly trying to do things in your life and change things in your life to get it more in balance. They take a very individualistic and personalized approach to health because it's a balance within your body, and you may have certain imbalances that you're born with, or like certain things may not work with you. Like they're very personal in the ways that they treat your pain and suffering. On top of like the herbs that you can take for Chinese medicine, there's also martial arts, and there's a whole bunch of martial arts types out there, but they're also rooted in just like wellness and health typically. And there's dance, there's movement, there's Tai Chi, there's acupuncture, acupressure. There are lots and lots of different ways that we can improve our wellness. As you can see, like talk therapy and talking about your emotions isn't really that big of a thing. And I think the messaging I want to give is I hope that we don't focus so much on how to normalize talk therapy for the AAPI community, or even like how to make therapists more culturally competent, although that is very important and we definitely need that. I think it's also important to talk about how we can bring in some of these like cultural activities into therapy. Like I don't know any practice that like intertwines acupuncture and talk therapy. You know, like maybe it could be a blend, or martial arts and talk therapy. Like I feel like in America right now, talk therapy is like its own thing. You go there if you have like mental health issues, you go to a doctor if you have physical issues. It's very compartmentalized, and that's really not the way that Eastern health is thought of. And so, yeah, I want it to be more of a blend, and I hope that we can kind of move towards that, and that would allow more of the Asian American community to have talk therapy be more accessible to them. That was it for today. Like the video, subscribe, share it with your friends. I don't know, do whatever you want because I had fun making this video. Thanks for watching. Bye.